Hello, social media. Happy Thursday. It's Mary Murphy with Robert Greenblatt, and today we are going to continue kind of where we left off about a week ago. Last week, we talked a lot about buyers and getting buyers' offers accepted, and there's still a lot of frustration on agents' parts about trying to make the match, trying to find the right house for the buyers. So there's so much pressure as a listing agent when you are getting ready to list a property or you have it in coming soon status. So Mary and I were talking about that recently, and we said, you know what, let's put it out there. Let's talk about it with you guys. Don't forget to comment, share, put notes down there about our topics, about future topics. We'd love to hear from you guys, no matter what platform you're watching this on. But there is so much frustration out there when a new listing is going live. It's stressful. It's extremely stressful for the agents involved. It's extremely stressful for the sellers involved. So we want to just take a few minutes today and just kind of beat that up, right, Mary?
That's right. Yeah, because we're a strong listing agent, so we get to experience this market. And so the average agent we know sells between, what's the stats, between 4 and 8 homes a year is what I've heard. I'm hoping it's higher than that now. But either way, even if it's 10 homes a year, that's not a lot of listings. And this is a market like we've never seen before. So we're blessed that we sell a lot, and I'm mainly a listing agent, so I do a lot of listings. So I've had a lot of experience in this market, and it's still confusing, even for me, on what's the best way, what's the most fair way, how do we make sure all the buyers get through the door, and do all the buyers need to get through the door, right? Because that's what you were consulting me, like, Mary, you have to end it at some point. Like, everyone doesn't need to get in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it does start with consulting your sellers first. I mean, I'm telling my sellers what it looks like, and we're having the expectation that by Monday, the home is sold. So I'm really telling them, like, you're going to have a really uncomfortable first weekend. So don't plan on driving around the block, because you're going to be circling the block for the entire day on Saturday and Sunday. So just make plans. And then hopefully by Monday, the goal would be that it's gone. And if it's not, we're going to have to reconvene on why it's not. Because in this market, that's really all I'm needing is one weekend. So Thursday to Sunday, then done. Monday, we're at highest and best. And I'm usually not having less than 10 offers to negotiate. And up to 40.
Yeah. Crazy. Some of you guys watching this have probably experienced this. And I know I have. You go to show a property and there's literally a line out the door, even with a confirmed appointment. So here's one of the things I noticed. Let's kind of like walk through it chronologically, right? A lot of us, when we get ready to list a house, we're going to put it in coming soon status, which is a newer status that they've given us in this area, I guess, for the last couple of years now, which allows real estate agents like us to see the listing online, to get a sense of when they're planning to allow showings, and to share that with our clients. I don't think it goes out to the consumer websites when it's in coming soon status, but we can see it and we can share it with our buyers. So listings go into coming soon status. Depending on your strategy, it may just be a few days, it may be a few weeks. Mary, what do you see with your listings once they go into coming soon status?
So we're really strategic with our listings and our coming soon status. One, it's very controversial, and there's a lot of agents who really dislike this method. So one thing that I'm always conscious of is making sure that everything's fair and that I'm playing nice in the sandbox, right? So we're very, very strategic on how we do the coming soon. So we already know when it's going to get listed, and we put that date in there as soon as we go into coming soon status. So I've already done all that pre-preparation with the seller in advance. We talk about when the photos are going to be. I give them a deadline, and then we pick a Thursday, and that's the Thursday that it's going to get listed. We can do that coming soon for up to 3 weeks. So I let them, here's the 3 Thursdays you have to choose from. Which one would you like to choose?
Right.
And that's pretty much how we do it every time. And then the coming soon, we're marketing that really heavily because we want the buyers to know about it. Otherwise, we may not have any time to market it, right? Like, I see agents all the time. And if it's an agent watching and you've done this, everyone has a different strategy. But all the time I see an agent post, sold this house for full asking in 30 minutes. And every time I see that, I always can't help but wonder, did you leave money on the table? So I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that we do enough marketing so that we make sure that we have enough showings, and then we go to the highest and best so that's really, with the coming soon status, we're just making sure that we're strategic on when it's active and that's listed in the MLS, and also that we have an open house already scheduled too. So being proactive, I think, is the only way to do it in this market.
I totally agree. The one of the things that I've seen happen on some of my coming soon listings in the last several months is during that coming soon period of time, I'll get calls and texts from agents. Often it's agents that I know, that I've co-opted with before or that I have a relationship with. And they'll say, hey, I know you're not scheduling showings until Friday, but today's Tuesday. Can I show it tonight? And I get it. I get the reason why everyone's asking those kind of things. But, I guess that falls under illegal in the world of what we do and practice, right? I don't know what category of illegal that is, but obviously we can't do that, right? We're not allowed to do that kind of thing.
Definitely unethical, I think.
There you go. That's the word I was looking for. Unethical is the word, right? So it's just, you can't do it. And I understand why, some of you guys have asked that, but, if we've co-op before, you also know the way I operate, and, don't ask because it's just not going to roll that way,
Right. But we do get in those positions. You're right. They're like, hey, Mayor, come on. They're only in town though. I know you're not listing it till Thursday, but they're only in town on Wednesday and they're cash buyers. Just get me in just on Wednesday. I'll give you a cash offer, and then smooth transaction. It's like, well, I can't. I would love to. If they have the cash, they should still have it on Thursday, right? So we're just going to have to figure it out.
That's crazy. I had that happen this week, that exact conversation on one of my listings. They're only in town Wednesday. I know you're not showing it till Friday. Can we see it on Wednesday? I'm like, you can't. It's just, we set it up this way for a reason. So yeah, I'm seeing that a lot. What are the time windows that you're using? So it used to be right before COVID that we'd allow 1-2 hour time windows. We'd let them overlap a lot of the time because it really didn't matter in the appointment center scheduling. But when everything changed, we stopped allowing overlapping appointments for safety reasons for everybody and comfort reasons. So you do 30-minute, 15-minute, 2 hour, what's your rule with your listings? How much time do you allow agents to schedule?
Because the market is as crazy as it is, we actually are allowing overlapping showings now, but we put in our comments that only one party is permitted to be in the house at a time. Okay. So we actually say that we are allowing overlapping showings because what I know happens, which we know we've had buyers, we drive by, the buyer gets there, they're like, nah, I hate this road. Well, now they just took an hour block or even a 30-minute block, and it wasn't the right house for them. So we do allow some overlap, and I try and make the 30-minute increments, but I got a curveball this week because my seller this week, normally we listed on Thursday and then it's till Monday. Well, this seller this week was like, Mary, you know what? I can't really show it till Saturday. So we did all that preliminary. And then she was like, I can't. I'm too busy. I'm working from home. I don't want to show it till Saturday. In fact, I don't even want to have any showings until Saturday at 11. So I'm going to show it from 11 to 5 on Saturday. That's it. And I'm going to show it from 11 to 2 on Sunday, and that's it. And the thing is, that's all she needs. I already have offers sight unseen. So that's all she needs. But now it's really, this is how this conversation started coming up, is I'm like, Robert, well, what do I do? Because we actually decided to have the open house start at 11 on Saturday so that I would have someone manning these showings.
Okay.
But I think it's going to be a line around the block. I don't, I don't even know.
Probably.
So we're just doing that. We're very upfront. It's very detailed. It's in the agent remarks. It's in the showing time remarks. This is an open house. It's expected to be busy, and that the offers will be presented, and a final and best will be Monday. In fact, I even say the offers will be acknowledged and presented on Monday, because every single week, without fail, I have an agent texting me at 10 o'clock on Saturday night saying, hey, did you get my offer? And if I don't respond at 10:15, they're like, hey, Mary, sent you an offer. It's in your email. I want to make sure it didn't go to your spam. Well, I don't want to field those calls all day.
Hey, wait a second. At least, we talked about the presenting offers last week. At least the agents are reaching out to you and confirming or trying to confirm that that you received the offer instead of it just sitting in a spam folder. So that's cool. At least they're trying, right?
90% of the time, I will respond, confirmed. I just don't if it's like 10 o'clock at night. I'm usually sleeping. But I always usually respond. But then also, before we present the offers, we send a blast email out through showing time, letting everyone know that best and final is due at 2 p.m. And if that if they have an offer to make sure that we've confirmed it. So we do an extra step to make sure that none of them are missed.
Good idea.
So I don't think we actually miss any. But yeah, we do have people trying to get in early, submitting offers sight unseen. Of course, we know a sight unseen offer, they need to see it. So now what they're trying to do is steal it. So great offer, sight unseen, stop all showings. And we want to see it before we're out of attorney review.
Have you ever had a seller say, okay, I'll take that offer. I know they haven't seen it, but okay, we don't have to show it and we'll just take that offer?
I have. Yeah. Actually, recently I had, not normally, because normally my consultation is if they really want the house, they're not going to change their mind. So even if sometimes we talked about this, or a buyer, the agent will put the offer in and say it expires at a certain point. If it's not taken at a certain point, the offer is off the table. Well, if the offer was truly going to be off the table, it's not a buyer that really wants the house, in my opinion. Otherwise, they're going to stick around. So my consultation is typically, you already have all these showings scheduled. I would let them in, but they don't have to. It's the seller's choice.
Right.
And I had one seller who, it was an estate sale. He didn't need the money. He just wanted to sell it. And it was a sad situation for him. He just wanted to sell it. He didn't want any of that marketing. And so that was his choice. And I probably could have gotten him, maybe not. He got a great offer, but he didn't want to go through all that. It wasn't worth $10,000 to him.
Right. Understood. Understood. So what do you do then? Like, when we have these, limited showing time windows like this one that your seller scaled it back for Saturday, but even if she didn't scale it back and that there's just so much traction, how do you manage the industry relationships, right? We were talking a little bit about this earlier, and it's frustrating and it's so delicate because I don't want to get another agent upset with me because I couldn't get them into this listing, because I may co-op with them 2 weeks from now on a totally different property. But I know they want to get into the house, but the seller basically said no more showings, and it's this whole this dance where you obviously at the end of the day, when in doubt, it's the seller's wishes, right? But you also want to manage and make sure that our community of all you guys that we work with out there, we want to make sure that we're doing our best to help you also, because we might want some help a little later, and we want to have good relationships. So how do you manage that?
I try to be upfront. That's part of the whole proactive thing I was talking about earlier, is that I just try and be proactive. But I can also control where the seller says, yes, let's do highest and best Monday at 2. She might get an awesome offer tomorrow and say, you know what, I don't want to do that anymore. And then I don't have really, we don't control it. So all we can really do is just, one, we're working for our seller first.
Yeah.
That's the only person we're working for. And then just be upfront as best we can. And then hope that the other agents understand that they're working in the same market we are. And we all have a fiduciary responsibility. And as much as we want to work and work well together, our fiduciary responsibility is not to each other. It's to our client. So I guess that's just the only way I can think of to manage it, and just make sure that I'm always doing things the right way so that no one's ever wondering. Because one thing I'll always hear agents say is they think people are being shady all the time. And I don't even know that it's that way. You see things go from coming soon to pending immediately. Well, we don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened, but it could be a red flag. I don't know, if that happens. But it could. I guess what happens if the seller says, yeah, a guy down the street that I know because he walks his dog here all the time by my house said he wants to see it, and I showed it to him, and then he puts an offer together. I guess that's a broker question in a way, but if he wants to take that offer, that seller, it's their prerogative. You can't force him to show it, right? You have a broker license. It's the seller,
It's exactly the seller. The seller can choose an offer and they can stop showings whenever they want. So, and we can just be the most ethical agents and easiest agents to work with. And that's all we can do on our end while working for our clients first.
How much longer is this craziness going to go on? It's been probably since June, July is when it started to ramp up. It's been going on strong and getting worse in some ways. There are indicators that there's more inventory coming on the market, which is a good sign. But at the same time, as we hit spring, which, hey, it's February, it is spring in a way in real estate. there's more listings coming on, but then there's also more buyers coming into the fold. So the pressure cooker that we're under, I think is going to be around for a while. You have any thoughts like when is this going to just kind of relax a little bit?
I don't know. I mean, maybe in the spring when there is more inventory and the buyers have more to choose from. Right now, there's just such a strong sense of urgency and trying to take advantage of these low interest rates, and that I think it's worse now than it has been. This is the strongest I've seen it, because this is the first time now that when we're listing properties, I'm having 100 showings in a weekend, which we've had multiple times. I've never seen lines like we're seeing lines at our open houses now. I've just never seen that before. So even in June, July, it was strong. We were still selling them in a couple of days, but people weren't tripping over each other, and not like they are now. You know, and I wasn't getting as much over asking like I am now. Sometimes I'm shocked.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to ease up in the spring. I think we are going to go into a spring which was very similar to last summer. And you guys watching this, please comment below. But I heard this week that the government extended the forbearance legislation, and forgive me, I don't know all the details, which means that more homeowners can extend the forbearance. And I'm not judging that. A lot of people do need it. But what it's doing at the same time is, I believe the whole part of this package is it also precludes the mortgage companies from taking any action and starting a foreclosure process, which is costly and time consuming. So I believe if that keeps getting pushed out, the market correction is kind of on pause. And I don't think we're going to see when that happens, there'll be some correction. And then if they decide to raise interest rates, it'll correct some of the demand. I mean, interest rates, around 3% or whatever they are is just crazy. It's really cheap money, and it is a great time to buy a house. But I'd heard for each 1% drop in the interest rate, in general, real estate values tend to rise about 10%. Whoa. Yeah, that's pretty interesting, right? But I think that the pressure cooker that we're in is going to be with us through most of this year. You
think it's bad as it is now?
Yeah, I do. Because we're going to get, there's more listings coming on the market. I could feel it personally. Some of the sellers I've been kind of coddling and holding their hand for the last several months as they get ready. A lot of them are about to go. I know you have several as well. And it's going on. I can see it in the industry on some of the automated drips that I have set up, and I can see what's happening in certain neighborhoods. But at the same time, in about 30 days or so, once all the snow goes away and it gets warmer out, we're going to see more buyers coming out, which is the typical spring seasonality of what we do, right? So that spring seasonality is like inventory is going to go up a little bit, but then the seasonality of the buyer thing is going to go up, and we're going to be at that same level of pressure. That's my prediction. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but that's
probably right. And that's what we say every time this time of year. I always, yes, there's fewer houses on the market, but the buyers who are looking are more serious buyers. And they're ready to go now. And in the spring, there's more houses on the market and there's more buyers. And that's just the way it has typically worked. I don't know that anything about our past year has been typical, so who knows? But I think that you're probably right. So let's go a little bit, though. How about pricing the properties, right? Because normally how I used to always price properties was, yes, you look at the sold, you look at the pending to see what's going on under contract in the last 30 days, and we look really strongly at the competition.
Right.
Well, now there's no competition. Right. So one of the ways I would always help them price is, okay, a buyer that's looking at your home will also look at these other three. And let's compare how your home looks to the other three that they could look at. Now it's like, well, your home's the only house available in your development, and these 7 are pending. Yep. And that's really the conversation now. So now it's like, well, the sold comps are telling us this. However, buyers are removing appraisals and they're crazy. So that's another part that has changed our job, where I've had to really educate myself.
Yep.
I always do anyway, really educate myself on pricing these properties a little differently than I have in the past.
Very different. So one of the reports that I use a lot in our local MLS is the result statistics report when I'm looking at a bunch of sold, active, pending. I love that report because one of the things that it shows us is the percentage of the last list price versus the sold price. So we know about a year ago, before everything changed, that in general, for most neighborhoods, homes were selling around 95 to 98% of the last list price. In general, we knew that. Now, when I'm on a listing appointment and I'm looking at that information and sharing it with sellers, I'm seeing anywhere from 100 to 110% of the last list price, with days on market being, 3, 6, 8, 4, 22. Boy, what's wrong with that one? What went wrong there? If it's been on the, if it was on the market a few weeks.
Right.
So it's crazy. I think I made a quick YouTube video about this over the summer, where you'd project down, hey, I'm listing it for 10. I think we're going to get $9.45 for your house if it's listed for 10. And now it's more like, we're going to list it for 10 and you're probably going to get $11.25 for your house. We're projecting up. The hard part when you're listing homes is you don't want to overprice it, because it still hurts, because you see it in the feedback and you go, you'll get activity. But if you don't get an offer in this market within that first weekend, whether you have 100 showings, which is ideal, right? Amazing. Or you have 10 or 15 showings, which is still respectable. If you don't get an offer, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Maybe there's a little bit, and I see it, sometimes there's a little bit of greed. Some of the listings I look at online, I'm like, wow. But at the same time, I go, what do I know? Like, some of this stuff is crazy,
Right. And that's the thing, is that it's really being confident and knowing how to have that conversation with your seller. Because when you're looking at these and they are showing anywhere from 101 to 110 or 15% of list price, well, then they're like, well, okay, let's just list it at 120% of list price and see what happens. There's no competition. And then you really do have to coach them around that usually that one that got 115%, they listed at a really smart market price. And because they did that, it drove the price way up. Now, if they would have listed at the price they got, they likely would have gotten less. Right. But it's being able to be confident in having that conversation, because what ends up happening is we need to get the buyers in the door. Once they're in the door, and especially if they see a line of people who also want to get in the door, and their interest rates are showing them that if they spend $10,000 more, it's going to cost them $40 a month, then now they're willing to push that envelope, to go a little higher. They didn't want to go over 350, but they want this house. So they'll go to 365 now. They'll go to 370 now. They wouldn't have walked in the door if you listed it at 370 though, because 350 was the price in their mind that they didn't want to go over. So it's really having that skill and that understanding to be able to guide your sellers that way. And then also for them to understand too, when they get $50,000 over asking, well, you want to make sure that they understand it. It was because of the marketing. It was because of the strategic pricing. It wasn't because you underlisted it, because you definitely didn't, because you looked at the comps together. So it's really being, it really is an art, I feel like. Being able to really list a property correctly and build the trust and manage the emotions of everyone involved in a real estate transaction, because everyone has emotions. I mean, I'm dealing with sellers with emotions, buyers. I mean, I just had a conversation with a seller recently. He didn't want to do a minor electrical repair. Like, we got $40,000 over asking, $40,000 over asking. So I went back to all the other offers and I said, our next best offer was 10,000 less than this. And my prediction is that this is going to cost you less than $1,000. So do you want to do it? And he decided to do it, but he didn't want to, because he's like, we'll just sell it again. I'm like, I could sell it every day. If you want me to sell it every day, I could. But eventually when you keep hitting the market, or it accumulates those days, that sense of urgency goes away.
Yep.
And then they lose money. And that's what you were talking about. If you don't sell it in that first weekend, you see that house on the market 21 days. 21 days used to be 3 weeks. That was not a long time.
No, it was not.
Now it's like, well, why was it on the market so long? Why did they get 3 weekends out of that?
Yeah, I think that when pricing a property too, it's important for us to remember, and I just had this conversation with a seller, that there are still those self-imposed lines in the sand for buyers. So when they're shopping, right, on their phones, most people are, there's that 250 mark, there's that 300 mark, those increments of $25,000 or $50,000. So if it's a 299 house, it's probably not a 310 listing. You might get 310, right? But you
Mm-hmm.
probably don't want to price it at 310 because people will stretch themselves after they see it and they really fall in love with the house, but they may not even see it at all in their searches because they're not even looking at homes up to 310, right?
That's exactly right. And when working with
Yeah.
buyers, you also have to understand those arbitrary numbers. Like, I don't want to go over 300,000. Well, why? Like, why don't you want to go? So really, it should be like the monthly payment, including the taxes and all of that. Now, of course, everyone does have a budget and a breaking point. And that's something you have to understand as an agent and help them understand, right? Because a lot of times they just put these numbers, they don't know why they said 300 was their max, right? Because really their max is a certain price, is a certain amount per month typically. So I love, like, my mortgage lender has a really great app. I use Garden State Home Loans, little plug for them. I love them. They have an app where the buyer can punch the numbers in and then it will tell them their monthly payment. And that's what I find most buyers care the most about. But you're right. They search in those $25,000 increments because, I mean, you need a starting and stopping point, which is why you would never see one of my listings listed at like 292.5. I won't because it's not going to, no one's going to go on Zillow and search from 292.5 to 217.5.
So what would it be listed for? 299?
Usually I go the round numbers. I would go 300 because if you're looking 250 to 300,
yeah,
you'll see it. 300 to 350, you'll see it.
Yeah, true. It's true.
Right?
Yep.
Who knows if it matters, but that's Listen, also, we could probably sell it. We could put any arbitrary number. We actually have one under contract now. The buyer offered 291,912, and that's actually on the contract.
Okay. It happens.
So Jen actually rounded it. I think she rounded it to 291. I forget what she rounded it to, and the agent made her correct it. There's cents on there. It's like 9. I think it's 291, 9. I don't even know. There's cents on there though.
With cents. Okay, that's unusual. I think
it was a math thing because some people with certain religions they have like math. There's math around it. There was something, but that's true. I never had my contract before.
And I sometimes will ask a buyer, especially if we're in a competitive situation like we have been, they'll say, okay, we want to offer around X. And I'll say, do you have a lucky number? Let's build your lucky numbers, whether it's spiritual, religious, or just lucky numbers. Let's build it into your offer number. So sometimes I have seen a lot of clients come up with these traditional type of offers, but never down to the pennies. That I don't think I've ever saw.
I gotta pull it up.
That's great. That's great.
It worked. They won. They were still the highest.
That's awesome. Once again, it's Robert Greenblatt and Mary Murphy. We are with eXp Realty here in South Jersey. We appreciate you guys watching this, whether you've watched us live or you are watching us on a rebroadcast. We greatly appreciate it. Please feel free to reach out to us at any time. We help all of our team members, everybody that's part of our greater group. We'd love to chat with you. If you're ever interested, have a confidential conversation about how the eXp model works, why we love it so much, and what it can offer you if you are considering a change. Appreciate it very much.
Yep. And let us know if there's anything you want us to talk about. Robert and I could probably talk about anything. We live, breathe, eat, and sleep real estate. We love it that much. We have families too, but they like talking about real estate too.
They have no choice. They have no choice. Yeah. Hey, don't ask me what to watch on Netflix, guys, because I have no idea. But get me going on real estate. I'll go all day. So
watch happy to help. On Netflix. Okay.
It's not going to happen. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.